beautiful co-creators, Lilu here. I'm in beautiful Yucatan, absolutely stunning, beautiful Yucatan with Alberto Haggar. Hello.
Hello, how you doing, Lilu? And extend the most cordial welcome to all your audiences out there. It is a privilege to be in this interview with you, haven't met you or re-encounter you again, along as all of our viewers for sure. And we're just going to go straight to...
I'm very excited to be interviewing you because I've heard great things, and this is one of those synchronistic encounters, and I'm really, my heart is pounding fast. I know that this is precious information you're going to give us in this video and that you're able to expose to us. This is not a common interview. This is not an ordinary one, and I really welcome you to pay close attention to what's going to be said and to listen from the heart. Tell us where we're sitting here. You're an you're an archeoastrologer, right? So astronomer.
That's correct, astronomer. This is a kind of a strange word, not very common known by people, but briefly I'll explain to you. An archeoastronomer is a multidisciplinary activity using exact sciences that it's focused on studying ancient civilizations, how they built, how they created, how they understood the universe, and how they were able to copy it on a smaller scale on planet Earth. Basically, that's what it is. It involves mathematics, geometry, architectural design, music, organic engineering, chemistry. Yeah. Incredibly, as we might sound, the Mayas were very well aware of chemistry and the amino acids. And
So tell us where we're at right now and why you chose to do this interview in this place and what does it represent? Because I know in Yucatan there's so many ruins, there's so many different places. What are those? Where are we? What are we sitting on actually?
Well, I just heard this little voice that said, you know, it was meant to be done here in Sunjachen because this was your place of birth long ago. So you're back. So we are actually at your home. So
how do you call it?
It's Sunjachen, and it's one of the oldest and important centers. I don't call them Mayan ruins. I call Mayan ruins the cities where we dwell now, because that's where you'll find government constructed houses, you know, where they live in small little places, no chance to meet with Mother Nature. These are cities, sleeping universities with lots of information for us. This particular one has got one of those over there, and that side has got one of the largest and most important sack beds, which is the white rose the Mayans used to build. That also contains many secrets. That's like a whole new interview can be done just on the sack beds. But mainly, in order to go directly into the subject, we first need to understand that the Mayan calendar has ended. But most people that were studying or working on Mayan cosmogony and Maya cosmovisions were basing their studies on December 22nd, 2012, you know, and with the catastrophic part of it, we will see how bookstores are just plethoric of all kinds of books about aliens arriving to planet Earth and saving us from evil, monsters emerging out of the cenotes and the oceans and all that kinds of stuff that are only well-supported and well-programmed deviators from the actual Mayan truth. Now, that carnival, as we said before, has ended, and people just wrap their customs and their toys and everything, and they're going to have to wait another 26,000 years so that they have a chance again to do what they were doing. Actually, there's lots of people that are really disappointed that nothing happened. First of all, the Mayans had prophecies. Yes, they had prophecies. They prophesied about the end of the world, not the end of the planet, which are completely two different things. The end of the planet is not going to happen, at least in another 10 million years, for sure it's not going to happen. The end of the world, yes, that world is collapsing. What do we understand of the world, according to the Mayan cosmogony? The way our society is structured based on 4 institutions that I personally call them gigantic clouds of testosterone, because they're created by men, ruled by men, and addressed for men. And it's 4 institutions, which is political, religious, economical, and military. What is that they have in common? They all lack of the divine feminine. The feminine factor has been systematically taken away from the formula in order to have total control over population. That world is collapsing. And any of those institutions that do not match up and bring in women, not as equal, because we are different, we are complementary, is going to disappear, is going to collapse, is going to reduce, is going to enter into an etap of chaos. We can see now, for instance, banking systems, are collapsing all over the world, the economy, warfare, indirectly pharmaceutical industries, the world of medicine, all of those, because, for instance, medicine, it's a natural feminine field that was stolen, taken over by men. And these institutions have like the doctor and the nurse. You got the rabbi or the priest and the nun. You got the general and the sergeant or the captain. Once in a while you will see, but...
How is that linked to the Mayan culture?
The Mayan cosmogony was equal in gender, equitative in gender, men and women. Everything they did, everything they wrote, everything they left behind as a legacy to ourselves, to modern society, is based on balance between men and women. That's what it is. And at the beginning, when you first enter the Mayan cosmology, you might not notice. But as you go through, and then you are able to interact with priests and priestesses and understand the way they build their architecture, the design, the way they heal, the healing process, the medicines, you begin to understand that it's all based on that balance between men and women.
So everything that they were making had that harmony, and you were able to prove that. Actually, tell us about that story too. I know there's so much to talk about, but you were able to show that every single thing in their culture, including what they ate, how they built things, everything was related and was in perfect harmony.
That is correct. They built and they created their own universe, understanding exactly the place where they were living, with these in between the macro and the microcosmos, right? They say, well, here we are, we're in between. We have understood that the universe has got this sacred geometry and these aesthetics that rule everything. And we know that in microcosmos, Mother Nature, to the smallest point, they were able to access biological chemistry by using psychotropicals. That's why those Mayan medicines, some of them are considered to be forbidden, are actually tools to enter that micro universe. They were able to understand everything has got this aesthetics, this signature that the primary cause of creation gives to everything. So they say we're in between this micro world, that macro universe. So everything we do, everything we build, everything we touch, everything we alter has got to be within those scales, fractally of the planet, fractally of the universe. Therefore, we have performed over 7,000 field work testing, and the error we have had is only 1.5%. So we are talking exact sciences. We have been able to rescue their measuring units, how they applied and how they built it. Even the smallest bead on a collar to the biggest pyramid we can find from them, it was based and built with those fractal measurements from the planet. Of course, before they do that, you have got to have music, because everything we see, we are musical archetypes. Everything we see in the Mayan world is frozen music on stone, on solid stone.
Yeah, and so what we're sitting on right now was like a house. Was it a temple? Was it how are they interlinked? Because it's covering. Tell us how wide this, not empire, but how wide this Mayan territory is, and how are they linked to each other? Because this is very international people listening here. I call them co-creators.
Co-creators, that's correct. And I like the word because we are co-creators of our own reality. And we got to take over now and start doing that, because all the catastrophic, all that carnival has ended. It's time to get to work. Yeah, it's very simple. The Mayas, as well as the Chinese and the Hindus and the Sumerians, the Egyptians, Teotihuacans, they were able to decode that the universe is based on a matrix that contains 7 supercomputers, I call them. You can find them on the internet or study some other books in which they address to them as the 7 magic squares. For instance, Benjamin Franklin at that time was a fanatic out of them. These 7 grids are named after one of those heavenly bodies we see, starting with the sun, Mercury, Venus, Moon. The Earth doesn't count because it is the point of view. And then comes Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Concordantly, those 7 heavenly bodies give a name to one of those 7 days of the week in Spanish and English and many other languages. And therefore, the book of Genesis tells us that when the universe was created, but it took 7 days. But the word day doesn't mean like 24 hours, it means going through. The word day means going through. So light, primary cause of creation, actually passed through 7 supercomputers. So that light gets supercomputerized and decrease of its intensity and then coagulate in world as we know it. They understood it, they studied them, they were able to obtain those matrices, and then everything they did was based on that. They reproduce on scale, on a small scale, what the universe has got. So you will see a city here, and applying the geomancy, which is an ancient capacity that mainly is done by women, in which they speak to planet Earth, and the Earth speaks back to them, to the priestess, and tells them, here we have a vortex for Venus. Over there we got a vortex for Mars. Over there we get the moon. So the male side comes in now, and then they start building and cutting the stones, and then they build, based on those vortexes, they build a building or a pyramid based on that pattern, that particular pattern. Therefore, you reproduce on scale the cities. And you get like a sun in the middle, and you got a solar system around and spinning. So each one of these buildings are actually representing on a smaller scale those 7 heavenly bodies out there and obtaining the forces emanating from them. And it is not a gravitational force. It is a subtle force. It's the Oregon. Wilhelm Reich, you can Google Wilhelm Reich, you know what the pyramids are all about. And now it is well proven that you can find nearby the pyramids up to 1,000 times more ions in the atmosphere than what you get normally walking in any other place. So these are healing machines, because when you have that amount of ions, there's no bacteria growing, there's no fungus growing, no viruses.
It's like vortexes too.
Vortexes, yes, because the pyramid creates them. That slope creates the vortexes, enhances them. They have the chambers on the inside, which is, I call them the organic chambers after Wilhelm Reich. That's what's inside of it. Those people want to know this? No, they don't want. Who, especially pharmaceutical industries? No, they don't want you to know that you are meant to live in perfect health.
Yeah. So such a setup help to optimize. I mean, what does it do in their daily lives to be living in such an environment like that? And then we can talk about how big this is and how they're interconnected.
Yeah. The ancient Maya, not only the Mayas, but the Mayas, we're talking about the Mayas. The Mayas' cosmovision, the Mayan cosmology is based on 2 columns, we can call them. 2 columns. One of them is construction, and the other one is healing. If we build properly, then we heal, then we can evolve. And by bringing down those, I call them theoplasmic spirals, you bring them down, you put them on the sac base, it goes into the cenotes on the water, then it's everywhere. It's such a brief time we are passing through this material experience that you might say, well, you don't get much. No, you get everything out of it. You get to be healthy all the time you're living. You get to have food. You're able to evolve and study Mother Nature, which is the ultimate spirituality, because it's God's signature, right? So that is what they got. Thousands of years of perfect harmony.
And how were they linked to other sites then? Because how big is this?
Well, this one, as you can see, is Mexican government has not given much of a budget to rescue it, but this is about 4 square kilometers you can find. Pretty good size. But the recent studies are demonstrating that what we call the Mayan Empire, they were not like an empire. They were like states, state cities, like the Greeks, sort of, that they gathered around. We'll talk about this right now. And the conclusion, the recent studies demonstrate that the Mayan empire, the Mayan territory, all of it, that involves part of Tabasco, Campeche, Chiapas, Quintana Roo, Yucatan, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and a little bit piece of Nicaragua, used to hold the highest population per square kilometer. Nevertheless, where are they? Where did they go?
Yeah.
Where
did they go? What's your understanding of it? Because were they killed or did they ascend?
No, they were not killed. And by the time the Spaniards arrived, their cities had been long abandoned. That was 500 years. 500 years before the Spaniards arrived, they were gone. The Popol Vuh will explain us what happened in Mount Hakavits, or more if you read the Gospels, read Matthew, and the answer is right there. You'll see. That's homework, guys. And
homework.
Homework. And so first thing also we need to understand when it comes to the Mayan cosmogony is what does the word Maya means. Maya is not a race. It is not the color of a skin. It is a level of consciousness. The Mayan word exactly means painless. They learn how to live in perfect harmony with no pain.
Without the suffering.
Without suffering, yes. They left on their manuscripts that before the Spanish arrived, the Mayan didn't know what diseases were. They didn't know what pain or bone hurt was, because they were living based on 3 premises. Maya means painless and involves 3 premises. Number 1 is inlakech. Alake means I am you, you are not I. I understand that mirror image and the divine inside of you. Therefore, any damage I could ever do to you gets diffused immediately. Even today, it's still the official salutation among priests and priestess. The second one is equality of gender between men and women, everything. It was perfect balance, 50-50. More of a matriarchate. Like the Egyptians, everybody thinks that the Egyptians were, the pharaoh was the one ruling, and it's not true. It was the queen ruling, and she had a pharaoh taking care of all those male affairs, let's call it, such as war and stuff. But it was the female, it was the divine feminine. Then the first macho religion was created, and then the feminine factor was taken out. And therefore, that's how it's been all over the world. Like, you don't have female rabbis in the Orthodox, you don't have female priests in the Catholic Church, and so on, And these gentlemen that wrap themselves in orange clothing, they check hands. When it comes to a woman, they extend their hands and they say, no, don't touch me. I don't understand that. I don't know what goes on there. Maybe I'm not ready for that, but shoot me later. Mm-hmm. So these world religions are based on testosterone somehow. Mm-hmm. See, I mean no offense, and I defend my religion and other religions, but we're not blind, okay? But hopefully it's going to end. It's soon going to end. The first priestess, for instance, in Catholic Church, I don't see it far from being ordained, the first priestess. And just like they have it on Mayan cosmogony, men and women.
I would love to learn more about this pyramid of consciousness and this body of consciousness, the Mayan consciousness. A lot of people, and I let the co-creators know that I was coming to this area, and so a lot of people are asking themselves, what does it mean to be born in this new cycle? What does it mean to live now here? What does it take? What can we learn from Mayas, etc.? So what would you like to say about that?
Okay, first I'll say what's the third premise. We saw inlakech alakem, equality to gender. The third one is very simple: green. Go for green. Build based on Mother Nature's scores. That's all you have to do. Now, what is the essence on the Mayan cosmovision? We all heard about, Mel Gibson talking about they behead people, official government tells you they committed sacrifices, they would eat the hearts of the maids, all the stuff, drowning in the cenotes. That's all bullshit. That's not true. That's not true. To begin with, Mayas were monotheist. They had only one God. And what's that God's name? If you ask them, you know what I tell you? They will inhale and exhale. And they tell you, this is God's name. You don't pronounce it, no, write it. But let's put that aside. And if you want to study God, then we do have a geometrical name for God. And it's called Hunapku. That means the one who grants the only measurement. And we represent God with a square with a circle in the middle of it. And the ratio emanated out of it is 1.618, which is the golden mean. And everything we do and everything in Mother Nature is based on that. That's God's signature. Now, we will find in Chichen Itza this construction. It's called the ball game. And they tell you that two teams would play. And the winners, the actual winners, would get beheaded because they won. And it was a gift, you know, dying and being beheaded on behalf of God, to have the gods, you know, happy. That's not true. That is a process of initiation still being performed in secret societies, such as Templar Knights, Rosicrucians, Masons, and that's what it is. It's all symbols. But it's, oh, it's got the skull and it's got the guy with the head beheaded. Yeah, he has defeated the 7 deadly sins, the ones we in Judeo-Christian tradition understand as the capital sins. The Mayas addressed to them as jokers or obstacles. And you have, through a process of learning, go through several years in the priesthood to be able to defeat them. How are they associated? They are associated in what we understand as a pyramid of consciousness. And how does that work? Each one of them goes with one part of our body. For instance, sloth, which is being lazy, is located at the height of your legs. As you go upper, lust will be located at your second chakra, which is understood as the area of passion and that drives you through a bad sexuality. The next level will be greed. You know, taking all the money you can, stealing, robbing, you know, becoming richer every day. And of course, unlawfully, greed. Then at the level of our laboratory and our heart level, you have wrath, which is the worst one of them because it can take you back to score number 1 in just a split second. Then it comes gluttony, located in your mouth and your stomach, just eating on a tremendous scale, not orderly. Then the next level would be envy at your eyes, and finally pride on top of your head. Those are the seven deadly sins, and that's how they understood them. Therefore, when you go into that ball game, by the time the ball has finished, is the festivity of where they graduate. You have got these adepts that are becoming halachuniks graduating. And that's why the ego has been beheaded. Those 7 serpents emanated. It's not actually blood because you've been beheaded. It's the 7 egos leaving your body. And then being that head, that physical head being grabbed by the hair, represents the false god that has been defeated. And therefore, that skull you see engraved on the wall is speaking. It's got a voluta of speaking. The symbol of speaking is got the aura, a glorious aura. So it's not dead. It's overcoming death. So it's as simple as that. Yeah. So when we do our
simple, and yet how can we bring that in our world too? How can we connect to that and bring that in our daily life?
Okay, I'll tell you what we do. When we do our seminars here with Lucy, basically, which is my sister.
I had the chance to interview too. If you haven't seen the video with Lucy, I welcome. We did two videos, so please check them out on the feminine and on the Mayans. And
that is correct. She's an incarnated enlightenment. She's a gift to the world, as you are too. Now, how do we do it? We do it very simply. Ever since we open our eyes in the morning, we say, we either sweep the floor, clean the garden, do yoga or judo, karate, aikido, whatever. Get your body moving. That's the first one. Then we go and fight against gluttony, for instance. So our food is based on healthy food, right? Then we fight against our pride. How? Attending classes and learning exact ancient sciences, soft sciences from the antiquity, which will provide you an understanding of where you are compared to the microcosmos and the microcosmos, and so on. So in 24 hours, we get those activities that are going to help us find and defeat those 7 egos. It's as simple as that.
So abundance is there too, I guess, and sexuality too. All of that is in balance.
That is correct. That is correct. And when it comes to greed, for instance, charity, the disattachment, and the disattachment doesn't mean that you will get poor or you're going to be lacking of things. On the contrary, with disattachment, more wealth comes to you. It's magical. That's how it works. When it comes to sexuality, you have two main roads you can choose. One of them is chastity, to live in celibacy and learn the sexual alchemy. And the other one is choosing the path of the gods, which is rejecting the sexuality of the animals and learning with your couple the sexuality of the gods. And what's that for? To achieve permanent states of enlightenment through physical, emotional, mental, and energetical orgasms. Permanently, climatic states all the time. And what do you obtain with that? You defeat the tyranny of the hormones, and then you're free.
Because that sexual energy is the same energy of creation, isn't it?
Everything we see is sex transmutated. Every single material thing touched and done by men is sexuality transmutated.
So when making love, real love, people make planets stars.
They actually said, that's actually a sentence a friend of mine once said. She understood one of those climatic states with her couple, that a new star was being formed. Exploding out in the universe. Yes.
I know that you don't have that much time because you have to take a flight, and I'm really grateful for our time together. Is there another area that you would like to cover as part of this conversation that is important? I know that you're making a movie too, with some important information, some things that some people might not be aware of. Is there where do you want to take this?
Well, very simple. The movie, it's kind of a sci-fi, very entertaining, kind of horror film, but we're using the story to convey and portray very important information. Maybe our co-creative friends out there would like to do some more homework and get on the Google and start searching on this dark star that has entered our solar system. It's not to collide with planet Earth. It's not going to hit planet Earth. It's been coming in and out every 3,200 years. It comes in and out. And we have got to be aware of what it represents. You can find it as NASA addressed to it as Tycho. And the Hebrew tradition is called Arca. The book of Revelation addressed to it as Wormwood, Ajenjo. And Hercolubus, Nibiru, Planet X. It's got many, many names, right? So it's very, very important, very interesting if you guys do that homework and be aware of what's happening, what's coming in. That's what the movie mostly is about. But
tell us, is that a good news or a bad news?
It's always good news. It's 3,200 years that passes by. Whatever happened those 3,200 years ago has brought us where we are here now. Now, how can we counter-rest whatever evil that comes with it? Is by, firstly, returning to the divine feminine, which is our main purpose that we're doing. That's what we are here for. Returning to the divine feminine. And how is that? Is make a daily effort, all men out there, co-creators, men co-creators, let's do this effort, a little bit, every day, to be able to see God's feminine face in every woman in our lives. And that's the fastest and the quickest way to defeat evil. Okay? The Mayan calendar ended, but it begins again. And the world's evil was not diffused. It is collapsing. And it needs this little push in the cliff, so we get rid of it. And the best way of doing it is holding hands with the women in the world and see each other as equal, as divine creatures. Because once we understand who we are, where we're coming from, where we're going to, we will stop doing the things we're doing.
Last little thing that I'm thinking that somebody asked on Facebook was about the sun being a portal, or the moon. Is there a last thing you can tell us about that?
Well, It is well known now, ever since 30 years ago, we already know that the moon is inhabited. It is not inhabited by humans. Creatures are divided in monolobular, bilobular, trilobulars on their brains. You got aerobics, media-aerobics, and non-aerobic creatures, and the whole universe is inhabited. Why, people say, why don't they come here and save us? Why would they? They are such advanced civilizations that they understand that the process of evolution of any species in the universe is ruled by the primary cause of creation. It's like when you got a cameraman, a camerawoman going in the jungle in Africa and is filming how hyenas are eating a little calf while they're distracting the mother. A child would say, "Hey mom, hey dad, how come the camera guys don't do anything and save the calf? The hyenas are eating the babies." Because it's not their job. They are just there to film how life in Africa is and bring it to the public so that we know. So it's the same. They cannot interfere. If they could, they would have done it long ago. Okay?
No intervention.
No intervention. It's part of our duty. It's part of our duty. And if we have somehow created a mess, we are the ones who are going to have to clean it. And we better start working now.
Thank you so much, Alberto. I really enjoyed this conversation. It is an honor. I look forward to going to Mérida to see you.
Oh, please, yes. You're more than welcome, guys. Visit Mérida. It's a fantastic city. You will love it. Truly, you will love it. It's
up north of Yucatan.
It's north of Yucatan. It's actually the real portal into the Mayan world. We got museums, art, culture, food, music. Oh, it's breathtaking. Truly, truly. And we are the safetiest state on all of Mexico, and the safetiest seated on planet Earth after Zurich used to be the first one. Now we are the safest one with 2.3.
I look forward coming there and doing a lot more video with you. There seems to be a lot of knowledge and a lot of passion and lots of things to share, and that brings knowledge, important knowledge out. And I feel this is part of my responsibility to bring that out now. Not as a responsibility, as heavy duty, but as something that is just beautifully shared with as many people as possible. So thank you.
Well, always welcome. And one important thing, you know, I'm available. You got my my mail, the page, and for sure, everything we've done, 30 years of research, 12 years lecturing worldwide, none of this belongs to me. It belongs to humankind, and it's there for you guys. All you have to do is ask and just put it on an email and send it to you. Please spread it. It's very important.
Are you sure you want to share your email? Because
yeah, by all means.
Bring it on, co-creators.
Yeah, well, we can work with hunapku@yahoo.com.
I'll put all that information too in the video. Thank you so much, my beautiful co-creators. We send you many blessings from this beautiful Maya land, and wishing you lots and lots of beautiful adventures. Bye-bye.
Cosmogony and my cosmovisions were basing their studies on December 22nd, 2012, you know, and with the catastrophic part of it, we will see how bookstores are just plethoric of all kinds of books about aliens arriving to planet Earth and saving us from evil, monsters emerging out of the cenotes and the oceans and all that kinds of stuff that are only well-supported and well-programmed deviators from the actual Mayan truth. Now, that carnival, as we said before, has ended, and people just wrap their customs and their toys and everything, and they're going to have to wait another 26,000 years so that they have a chance again to do what they were doing. Actually, there's lots of people that are hardly really disappointed that nothing happened. First of all, the Mayans had prophecies. Yes, they had prophecies. They prophesied to the universe and how they were able to copied on a smaller scale on planet Earth. Basically, that's what it is. It involves mathematics, geometry, architectural design, music, organic engineering, chemistry.
Yeah.
Incredibly, as we might sound, the Mayas were very, very well aware of chemistry and the amino acids. And
So tell us where we're at right now and why you chose to do this interview in this place and what does it represent? Because I know in Yucatan there's so many ruins, there's so many different places. What are those? Where are we? What are we sitting on actually?
well, I just heard this little voice that said, it was meant to be done here in Sunjachen because this was your place of birth long ago. So you're back. So we are actually at your home. So
How do you call it?
it's Sunjachen, and it's one of the
Hello, my beautiful co-creators. Lilu here. I'm in beautiful Yucatan, absolutely stunning, beautiful Yucatan with Alberto Haggar. Hello.
Hello, how you doing, Lilu? And extend the most cordial welcome to all your audiences out there. It is a privilege to be in this interview with you, haven't met you or re-encounter you again, along as all of our viewers for sure. And we're just going to go straight to...
I'm very excited to be interviewing you because I've heard great things, and this is one of those synchronistic encounters. And I'm really, my heart is pounding fast. I know that this is precious information you're going to give us in this video, and that you're able to expose to us. This is not a common interview. This is not an ordinary one, and I really welcome you to pay close attention to what's going to be said and to listen from the heart. Tell us where we're sitting here. You're an you're an archeoastrologer, right? So astronomer.
That's correct, astronomer. This is a kind of a strange word, not very common, known by people, but briefly I'll explain to you. An archeoastronomer is a multidisciplinary activity using exact sciences that it's focused on studying ancient civilizations, how they build, how they created, how they understood. One of the oldest and important centers, I don't call them Mayan ruins. I call Mayan ruins the cities where we dwell now, because that's where you'll find government constructed houses, where they live in small little places, no chance to meet with Mother Nature. These are cities, sleeping universities with lots of information for us. This particular one has got one of those over there, and that side has got one of the largest and most important sack beds, which is the white rose the Mayans used to build. That also contains many secrets. That's like a whole new interview can be done just on the sack beds. But mainly, in order to go directly into the subject, we first need to understand that the Mayan calendar has ended. But most people that were studying or working on Mayan